Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel. My name is Nshavo and this is Life as a Military Wife and an Aspiring Psychologist. I am a military wife and I am an aspiring psychologist. So if you're seeing this face for the first time, welcome to my channel. And if you are seeing my channel for the first time and you're asking yourself, what is this about? Well, I'm about to tell you. So on this channel, I sit down and I talk about my journey as a military wife and as an aspiring psychologist. And the reason why I do that is because I have seen so much growth taking place in my life. When I compare where I come from, where I am, and where I am going, I see myself as someone who has defied the odds so many times, and in that I find so much inspiration, and that is why I decided I'm going to document my journey for myself and also for you guys to try and inspire you, because I find my journey very inspirational. I do. So yes, that is exactly what I do. And if you find that interesting, I would invite you to stay and also subscribe to my channel so that every time I post, you are notified and then you don't miss any of the videos that will come after this one. And then to my returning subscribers, welcome back, you guys. Nice to see you here. I'm excited to have you here and I hope you enjoyed this video. Right, today is a reflective video. I hope you do enjoy it. Before wasting any more time, let's get right into it. As I'm filming this video, today is the 21st of May 2025. I graduated 2 nights ago. I graduated on the 19th of May 2025 in the evening. So that is very important because it's making it feel like it was not a long time ago because it was in the evening. It actually feels like it was yesterday, like early yesterday, you know. So I just graduated for my honors in psychology and I graduated cum laude. A round of applause for myself. And I'm doing this because this is the whole purpose of this video, right? I wanted to reflect. Something has been on my mind lately, and hence this video. I just thought to myself, why not sit down and actually put these thoughts on a video, document it for yourself, and hope to also inspire someone else. I do hope this video will inspire you as you come across it, right? So I graduated and there was a lot of emotions, there was a lot of feelings going on that day, and that is the reason why I decided I'm going to talk about this, because I don't think it's an exclusive experience. I think so many of us go through it. So I'm going to tell you where I'm going to lay the foundation for you so that you can also understand why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. But I'm also going to reflect on my undergraduate experience so that we can actually compare the undergraduate experience and the honors experience. So I am a village girl, right? I come from the village. I come from a rural village. I think that's the rural it can get. And that is the time that I was growing up. It looks so much better now, but when I was growing up, it was like a full-blown rural village in Limpopo, right? I come from there. So by virtue of me being born there, I feel like, and looking now in hindsight, I actually realized that I was doomed from the start. Like just by virtue of everyone being born there, just by virtue of me and my siblings being born there, it's almost as if our destinies, our future, you could almost predict where we were going to end up just by virtue of where we were born, right? And I don't know if you guys are familiar with rural life. I don't know if you guys are familiar with village life, but I'm going to try and paint a picture for you guys to understand. So how it was, couple rural with poverty, right? There was no room for inspiration and aspiration. There was no room for dreaming big, especially for myself. Let me speak for myself. There was no room to be dreaming big. There was no room to be exploring things to see where I might end up. You know what? I'm going to give you an example. I didn't even know about pilots. I didn't think that there is something that you have to actually study to become a pilot. I didn't even know there was a pilot at that point in my life. And I'm trying to show you how rural that place was at the time when I was growing. I love my village, but trust me, given a chance, I wouldn't want my kids growing up there. And that is because of what the village did to me, right? And not the people, hear me right, hear me well, not the people, but the setting, the environment, it being a rural village was very limiting for me, and I believe everyone else who was there at the time that I was growing up. And I will emphasize at the time that I was growing up there, because I've seen so much change, I've seen so much development ever since then, right? So my life was about survival. I needed to stress about where is the next meal going to come from. I needed to stress about sleeping, having eaten something. I needed to stress about being warm when it's winter. Those were the things I needed to stress about. I needed to stress about my shoes for school. I needed to stress about which friend am I going home with after school so that I can eat, That is what it was like. So there was no time to dream. There was no, trust me, like there was nothing like that for me, right? And then I further went into another situation where I was abused, right? I was abused emotionally, psychologically, and physically as well. I was abused, and what that did is that it further reinforced and reinstilled the feelings of unworthiness, if I can put it like that, because you're just there, like you're just surviving. You're not, when you actually even look at other careers that you somehow come across, you look at them and you're like, oh, that's for other people. Like that has its own people. For me, because I'm from a village, I can't even see myself in that position. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is the mindset that I grew up in, right? And I grew up with. So that abuse, being constantly reminded that you won't amount to anything because you make so much mistakes, because also they will also remind you that because you come from a village, you're not going anywhere. Like we have seen so many people being born there and dying there, because that is what life was like. So that is where I grew up, right? And then fast forward into my tertiary education. You guys that I knew, you probably don't know that I am a 2 times university dropout. That is another story, but it ties very well to what I just explained. It comes from there. And this is not me not wanting to take accountability. However, studying psychology, you need to understand that every behavior comes from somewhere, right? So for me, dropping out of university is also a story that is tied very well into that, but it's not something I'm going to dwell on today, because that's not the point of this video. But the people that have been with me on this journey know that I dropped out of university, and I have spoken about it. So if you are interested or curious, you can go and look for the video, or I can make another video explaining that in detail now with a new perspective, because I have grown, I have matured, and I've developed new narratives around that experience on its own. So moving right along to university, I suffered that, and then I finally managed to complete a degree, right? I started a degree, and then I finished it. And this is where now we are going to reflect on my experience of the graduation for undergraduate. So I remember just being there, really. I remember not being able to internalize the experience. Even the hype around graduation, I was just like, guys, that is just another day in South Africa, like, okay, I studied and I finished. What's the big deal? And the crazy part about this is that, having been someone who dropped out of university, me actually completing a degree was supposed to mean so much to me. It was supposed to be such a groundbreaking achievement. But because of the relationship that I had with myself and the beliefs that I had internalized and the way that I saw myself, I just felt like it's another day in paradise. I felt like, oh, okay, it just happened. And I didn't want to allow myself to acknowledge the amount of work I had put into achieving that degree. I didn't want to allow myself, because I felt like I don't deserve it. Like, I don't deserve to feel good. I don't deserve to, like, what's the big deal? It just felt like I didn't deserve, like, feeling good about the things that I do, because I was convinced that I'm not supposed to be anything. So that shouldn't mean anything. I don't know if you get what I mean, So I went through that graduation with just hotspotting myself to other people's excitement, because I'm like, oh, okay, everyone is excited about graduation. Apparently it's supposed to be a big thing, so okay, it's a big thing, but I don't see the fuss. I don't see what the fuss is about. And I don't want to actually even take away from the fact that it is a big thing. It's a huge thing. Like, completing a degree, especially for someone like me who had to fight to stay in school, who had to drop out and go back and come back and go back and come back. It was such a huge thing, but I didn't allow myself to feel it. And that was because of the emotional turmoil, of the internal feelings, of the relationship, my personal relationship with myself, which I've had to actually sit down and evaluate and work on. I am work in progress. If there's one thing I take pride in, is the fact that I am work in progress. Hence, this channel is here. It's to actually document that I am a work in progress, guys. I don't think I will ever arrive, but I am so proud and so happy with the progress that I have made, right? So when that happened, now moving into honors, I did my honors last year, and when the graduation was coming, I realized how those feelings would creep in a little bit, like, oh, Nshabo, it's not a big deal. And I said to myself, you know what? We are not gonna do that this time around. We're not gonna do that, because I worked so hard for this degree. I worked so hard. I cried so much. I crashed out. Literally, I crashed out. Like, honors was a lot. But also, you need to understand that after the graduation experience, the undergraduate experience, I started working on myself, because I realized that moment that I struggled to internalize my achievements. I struggled to celebrate my achievements. I struggled to embrace my achievements. And I struggled to notice and realize where I actually worked so hard. I refused myself that opportunity. So I had started working on it, and then I would actually notice when the feelings would come. I would be conscious about them. I would notice, I would realize that, oh, okay, here we achieved a lot, this is big, but I know that I have a tendency of minimizing my achievements, and this time around I'm not going to do it. So with honors, that was exactly my approach, that you did it, baby girl. You did it, and you worked so hard, and you've done so well. You've done so well from where you come from to where you are. You have done so well. And that is why on that day there were so many emotions, because coming out of a mentality, coming out of a narrative, it's so hard. It creates conflict in your brain, because you're trying to feel something that your brain is not used to, and it was such a very overwhelming moment, because I'm like, I did this. And then that little voice wants to come and discredit you and say, it was just luck, It's those kind of things. But I'm like, nah, we're not doing that this time around. I did this, you guys. I did this. I worked so hard for this honors, and I cried myself to sleep. I got frustrated and I closed the computer, and I came back and I did the work. I came back and I continued with the assignment, no matter how hard it was. I did that. So this time around, I intentionally enjoyed my graduation. I gave myself permission to enjoy my graduation. I gave myself permission to recognize this as an achievement, and not just an achievement, a great achievement, that goes against everything that I have been told, that goes against everything that I have always believed about myself, that goes against everything that was my identity at some point in my life, So I enjoyed my graduation, and I had such a great time, and I realized that this is big. Hey, this is big. This is huge. I did that. So it just made me sad that we find ourselves in positions where we have to fight to actually feel good about certain things because we were taught that we don't deserve those things. We find ourselves where we have to fight these mental battles so that we can be able to own our achievements, to celebrate our achievements, because we were told we will never amount to anything. It made me very sad to realize that, but it also made me so happy to actually realize that I am not where I come from. It made me feel so happy to realize that I've achieved so much, which is contrary to the beliefs that were instilled in me because of where I come from, which is the opposite of what I was supposed to become. I have gone against traditional beliefs. I have gone against, I don't even know. You know what? I have literally went the opposite direction of where my life was supposed to of the direction my life was supposed to take because of where I come from. So that for me was confirmation, was reaffirmation, was such a validation to realize that I am not where I come from, and I'm not what I have been through. That is not me. Those are things that I went through, and it had to get to this point where I don't allow them to control my life anymore. It's making me emotional because I've lived such a great part of my life with my past and my background determining how I show up to the world and and the things that I do. I've lived a great part of my life with that past dictating what happens in my life. What do I say? What do I do? How do I behave? Because beliefs inform behavior, right? I have lived such a great part of my life with my beliefs determining how I show up, the decisions that I made, my past, my environment in my childhood environment, my circumstances in my childhood have determined so much of what my adult life became at a certain point in my life. And when I sit here and I reflect back and I recognize that so much of it I didn't have a choice, so much of it I couldn't have known better, that breaks my heart so much. It breaks my heart so much. So with this video, I just wanted to remind myself and document this I keep on saying this, but yeah, I just wanted to remind myself that I did that, and I am worth it, and I did that, you guys. I did that. You know what? I don't know how. It's so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming that when I bring my past with my present together, and I realize the disconnect, the gap in the disconnection that they have being so huge, it makes me feel so emotional because I realize and I recognize the amount of work that I have done on myself to actually allow myself to even dream this big for myself. That little girl was not supposed to dream this much, because you can't. Where you come from, you must just survive. You can't want to be a psychologist because of where you come from. That little girl was not supposed to have dreamt this far. That little girl was not even supposed to be married. That little girl was not supposed to be raising 3 beautiful kids. And I have done that. I have fought against every belief that was instilled in me that I didn't agree with, that I grew up to realize that I don't agree with this. I don't want this for myself. I have fought so hard, and this graduation was also a reminder of how far I've come. And it was also a reminder of how much of a battle I've had to fight to become the person that I am today. So with this video, I just wanted to take it in, to acknowledge it, to recognize it, and to also remind yourself that we are not where we come from. And I know it sounds like a cliche because it's said all the time, but we really are not where we come from. We are better than that. We are better than that. So if you are at a point in your life where your upbringing or your background still controls how you are and what you achieve and how much you dream and how far you dream, I just wanted to remind you today that I also come from there, but I have given myself permission to dream as far as my eyes and my mind can go. And I have been able to achieve that, because if you can see it, you can achieve it. I sound like those motivational people, but yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. This is just a reminder to yourself to say you are not where you come from, and at some point we need to disconnect from our background and our upbringing, and then decide who we want to become, and decide who we want to be and who we want to show up as, what kind of wives and spouses we want to be, what kind of parents we want to be. At some point that becomes our decision, and that is where I am right now. I get to decide that I want to enjoy my graduation. Doesn't matter whether I was once convinced that this is not for me, this has its own people, this I'm not supposed to be doing this. I did that, and I have to enjoy it, and I have to own it. Doesn't matter, So we are not where we come from. And if you have not allowed yourself to dream, I'm giving you that permission. Dream as far as you want, and start working on that, because anything is possible. Anything is possible in this world. And with God, anything is possible. Nothing is impossible without God. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you subscribe and like, and please do let me know in the comments what you thought about my experience, what you thought about my journey, and I will interact with you guys down there. Until the next time, I will see you there. Bye.